Hey folks, welcome to the Mediocre Cover Band Guitar Guy. We're going on the beer. I had an intro worked out, and then I scrapped it and said, you know what? This is a video of me answering some questions or responding to some things. I'm going to drink some beer and just respond to it. Appreciate it if you guys would probably crack open a beer. This one might go long. For anybody who watches the whole videos, according to analytics, you don't. A couple of you do because you respond on things. We're going to get into that in a minute as one of my responses. So sit tight. But thanks for the support on the video I did today and everything else. Please like and subscribe or comment. It really helps the old guy out. I'm not going to lie, it's all about bragging rights. For me, the more subscribers I get and just the better numbers. It's all numbers, but it's all good, whatever. So, my first question comes to me from a guy who says to me, hey man, just wondering what your ultimate bucket list guitar would be. I have two, okay? One is obviously a Gretsch White Falcon. And I say obviously because they're fucking nice guitars, and I like them. I was asked if Billy Duffy had anything to do with that at one point, and I was like, well, it didn't hurt. I'm a fan of the Colt. I love Billy's playing. Rig Rundown was one of my favorites, one of the first ones I ever watched, actually. So it didn't hurt, And let's face it, Love Removal Machine, the video is pretty cool. He's playing that White Falcon in the video with the Marshalls. And it just looked cool as fuck. The second one's a bit strange. I'm not even quite sure what models it would be. Like, I know they're American or whatever. But they're Fender Telecasters. And I like both of them. It's an either or situation. I like both of them equally the same. One would be, it's black. It's got white binding on it. And it's got a rosewood fretboard. And relict. And the other one would be a sunburst in the same, tobacco sunburst in the same vein with the binding and relict rosewood fretboard. So those are like lotto winning guitars for me because I'm in no place to buy them right now. And we all have a bucket list guitar or 15, and then the 15 after that. All right. Derek wants to know, what are my pet peeves with musicians? I did a video on this maybe 2 years ago. I'm thinking it's 2 years ago I did this video. And it was titled, Musicians Will Literally Argue About Anything. And that's one of my pet peeves. Guys arguing because somebody left a capo on the headstock of their guitar, or the whole iPad thing for singers. And I've defended that because when you're singing, it's a bit different than guitars. You're learning a lot of words in a song. If you're doing 60 songs a night, you got a lot of memorying to do. And it's not even about the 60 songs that you're playing or What happens when somebody comes up and throws a request at you? Your job is to, and it's a job. Always remember that. You're there to do a job. And your job is to entertain people. And if they come up for a request and you have the ability to play it, you have to do it, and you have to do it right. Some guys will go, oh, well, I learned the songs. I don't need to use an iPad because I am perfect and I am a singer who memorizes and does my job. And then they sing the first verse for the third verse because they forgot the third verse. You didn't know the song. Plain and simple. You fucked up. You did not do your job, and you do not know the song. You did it wrong. It's the same as if we were playing Brown Eyed Girl and I was playing Symphony of Destruction while everybody else in the band was playing Brown Eyed Girl. I'll fight you on that one. People go, well, that's a bit extreme, but it's not. It's the fucking truth. You didn't know the song. You fucked it up because you didn't know the right words. The words are as important as the guitar chords, and you didn't know them. If you had something there that might jog your memory, that is really good. And this is going to go also from a question about pet peeves. There was a guy who wrote in, and Babalaya, I think is how you pronounce it. I don't know. It's a weird kind of name there. Plays in a covers band. The drummer insists that they only practice one set list. They wants to rehearse the songs on a specific set list in order of the set list, and does not want to deviate from that set list. So every time we rehearse, it starts at song number 1 and goes right to the last song of the night. This is a major piss off for everybody in the band, especially me as the singer. He does not ever want to deviate when we play live and play songs that we know inside and out, because he does not want to deviate from our set list. Okay, so once again, you're doing a job. You're hired to play to entertain people. It's nice to have a set list. It's nice to know what's coming at you next. You also have to play to the crowd, and you also have to entertain that crowd. If somebody comes up and says, "Hey, do you know this song?" and your band knows it and has played it 100 times before, and you say, "Well, we can't play it because it's not on our set list," that's bad. That's not professional whatsoever. Okay, you're not being a professional musician. You're not even being a musician. You're being a complete amateur basement person. Okay, who plays to backing tracks or something. It's very critical to entertain your crowd, and if you can't give them what they want, you're not going to get hired. Unless you're playing for peanuts, then you know what? That's where we're at on that. Sometimes you got to deviate from a set list. Sometimes you can't just keep it there and go, no, we're not doing this, no, we're not doing that. And I've seen this, I watched a band out in Southlands one time play, and they had an hour and a half where nobody was on the dance floor. They did a full set and a half. That's bad. That's not professional. That's not doing your job. If you hired a plumber to come in and fix something and they didn't do their job, you wouldn't have them back, would you? So do your job, entertain the crowd, okay? And I don't know if you wanted me to do a separate video on that, because I did offer that service before where I said I would do a video on it, but it got lumped into this video. So do your job and play the songs to the best of your ability. You know, that's it. That's what you're hired to do. You're hired. You're getting money, guys. This is not a party. This is not fun. Oh, I go out and play because it's a laugh. This is serious shit when you're playing in a bar or you're playing a wedding or you're playing whatever. You're hired to do that work. Do it. Okay? I'm getting real serious on this shit, right? Hey man, just want to know how you handle criticism on your playing or whatever. You know, I get criticized sometimes and I take it very personal. How do you deal with that? I don't care who you are. You're going to take any criticism personal. You think you're doing okay, and then all of a sudden somebody comes and tells you you're not, then yeah, you're going to be angry. It's going to piss you off. It's going to put you in a bad mood. You have to understand where the criticism is coming from, though, to kind of get over it. Go home and you have to sort of compartmentalize different criticisms. And the number one thing is you have to realize, was it coming from a place of constructive or was it destructive? Was it somebody that was just trying to get in your head and start shit because they were jealous, or is it somebody who wants to see you do better and has been there and done that? One of the best pieces of advice that I got from my dad is, when taking advice, look at where that person is in their life. And if they're leaps and bounds ahead of where you are now and they're where you want to be, then they know how to get there. So their advice is valuable. And if there's somebody who's either behind you in the race or somebody who's in the exact same place in life you are, their advice is only going to keep you in that spot or drag you down. And it's the same thing with criticism. I got criticized. We did Guns N' Roses, Sweet Child of Mine, and we didn't have a sound guy. We were playing Darnell's, and this guy comes in, and this is like the first year of this band. This is like 2013, and I knew this guy, and he comes in, he goes, "Hey man, your tone was really muddy." Like, and he was only there for one song, okay? It was really muddy. I didn't enjoy it at all. Like, it was really bad. Like, you know, maybe you should have used a Strat on Sweet Child of Mine. I'm thinking to myself, okay, because I was using a Les Paul, and I thought, okay, that's one thing. Coming up and saying, hey, you know, your guitar is muddy or it's lost in the mix. To me, that's a little bit constructive, because it lets you know that, well, okay, well, maybe you need to get rid of some of the mids and go with some highs, right? But he persisted to stay there for about 5 minutes and tell me it really sounded bad. He was really sincere, like, you know, I thought you were a good guitar player, but like that was really muddy. And anyway, we had a room full of people. We had a pub crawl and a busload of people come in, and I think that's what happened when we did our sound check. The room was empty, and that was fine because Darnell's is usually empty anyway. But anyhow, uh, I took that and thought to myself, okay, this is a guy, and this was the only bar he ever played was Darnell's. He was coming over to check out the competition, basically. And anybody who's anybody knows, the only reason you play Darnell's is like the first year of your band. You play there to sort of, because that's where you break into. And then once as you've done a year, you get the fuck out of there. But his band had been there for 5 years, which meant they were going nowhere. So I had to look at that and go, okay. When we started playing tolls, we had a sound guy. Won't mention his name because he doesn't like attention drawn to himself. And this guy is someone that I respect like you would not believe, okay? When he comes to me and says something's not working, I take it seriously. And I go home and think about it and work on it. This is a cool as fuck beer bottle opener, by the way. Long McQuaid, magnetic. But it looks like if Zach Wild played an ES335, this would be his guitar. Anyway, he would come to me and go, what's going on? Your tone is not what it usually is. Another good way to tell that my missus isn't home tonight, she's gone for a girls' kind of weekend, is that I'm popping beer bottle stoppers all over the hardwood floor. Keep that in my hand because I'm drinking. When he comes to me and he says, hey, what's going on? Something going on with your tone there. It's not you. It's not the same. He loves this guitar, the Vox amp, and the Archer, the J Rocket. That's my tone according to him. But if I'm not sounding or playing well, he's like, hey, what's going on? You know, like, are you blah, blah, blah. It's coming from a place of constructive criticism and not a place of malice, because this guy knows what he's accomplished, knows where he is, knows what he's done, doesn't need to belittle me or whatever. So when he says that, when we come down on break, my ass goes back to the stage and looks at my amp and looks at my pedals, and I'm like, trying to fix shit, because I take that shit serious. So that's what you got to look at, where people are coming from with their criticism. It could be a place of jealousy, or it could be a place of they want you to do better, they want you to sound better or sound like yourself, or they have no envy in them whatsoever, because they just want to see everybody do well and they love music, which is the same as this individual. So when he says something, I take it serious. When somebody who's on my level says something and I know it's out of malice, I come home and I'm angry about it and pissed off and grouchy and for a couple days, and then I just leave it alone. I don't think about it. I don't revamp things. I don't realign my pedal board or whatever, and I don't worry about it. So that's what you should do with criticism. Look at where it's coming from. That was a long way around, but we're drinking. We're having a good time. So that's what you should do. Just look at where it's coming from, okay? And then don't worry about it. That's my theory. Another guy asks, and this guy, Jerry, comments on my videos, Mr. O'Brien. Thanks, by the way, for the support. Asked me about my guitar heroes. And I lump all this into two categories. I got heroes and influences. Influence-wise, obviously, Jimmy Page, favorite guitar player of all time. Coming from old school, yep, definitely. Hendrix. But I also have Keith Richards and Malcolm Young. Malcolm Young tone-wise. I just, and how solid his playing, rhythm playing was. He could play leads too. A lot of people don't realize that. But I have like those two categories. So those are what I would call influences. People in my early days that I looked at went, okay, I want to pick up a guitar and I want to sound like that individual. I want to make that noise. I want that to come from my fingers. And but it didn't work out, obviously. And then I have heroes. Anybody familiar with? I grew up in the '80s, so all that like hard rock, '80s hard rock. I'm not going to call it hair metal or glam. I'm going to call it what it is, hard rock. And then I had heroes like towards the end of it, guys like Tracy Guns became a huge guitar hero of mine within the last 10 years. I always loved LA Guns, man. I did, seriously. I think timing was what really sort of killed those guys. They're back now and they're torn and they're still together, which is awesome. Phil Lewis and Tracy Guns. But I think if we push the clock down a couple of years on them, they might have actually been a little bit bigger. Grunge and that whole scene came in. They managed to get a couple albums out in the late 80s, and then that happened, and then the whole interest in just underachieving in music became popular for a while. And, you know, for some parts of it, like, obviously, I love Pearl Jam, um, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains. I don't really consider Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam to be grunge bands. I consider one to be a hard rock band, one to be a rock band. I don't really know where to put Soundgarden. Is it metal? Is it alternative or whatever? I think Nirvana were grunge. I think if you're going to put like lump them into a genre. But I loved Nevermind. It's one of my favorite albums. I think it's one of those albums that sound like a Back in Black sort of level where, for me, might not necessarily be there for you, where I can put it on and listen to every track from start to finish, and that's pretty cool. I like that. But I know we're going off topic. I think if LA Guns sort of came out a little bit before all that, they might have had a bit more of a bit more success than what they did. And I know, Ballad of Jane was a bit of a hit for him, which was cool. Don Felder from the Eagles. I started to appreciate the Eagles in my 30s. I mean, obviously I heard of them and I knew who they were long before that. My dad listened to them. But Don Felder, I'd say from 2015 to 18, everything Don Felder did, like I even went out and went on a mad search because they were hard to get at first. Those Herco guitar picks, the Flex 50s. I got about 100 of them now, but like I wanted those. I designed my pedal board around his pedal board, all those things. And I think he was definitely a hero of mine. You know what I mean? And even the YouTube guys like Tom Bukovac, because they came along later after I started playing. Justin Oslander. I don't even know how to pronounce that guy's name. I wish I really did because it's my favorite YouTube channel. Chris Buck is amazing. Brett Papa is amazing. Like these guys, I can sit and just watch. Like even when they're doing lessons, I don't worry about. I just watch them play, and Guthrie Trapp because they're just so amazing. So that's how I determine guitar heroes and guitar influences. But my big four: Page, Hendrix, Richards, and Malcolm Young. Izzy Stradlin figures in there quite a bit. I think he was the secret weapon for Guns N' Roses because if you look at what they've done since, Richard Fortus, another guy I would consider a hero. I like Slash, but I don't know. I never really delved into the whole Slash thing. I think he plays like nobody else. I really do. And I think that's awesome. But like, I don't know. I think his role in the songwriting for that band really, really solidified like some of the greater songs that they'd written. I think because I mean, you look at it when he left, it's sort of just, yeah, right. So that's it for me, guys. That's all I got for this evening for you. I wanted to have a beer with you guys and talk about some things that people were talking about and sending me messages on. We drank a beer and a bit. I'm gonna go outside and drink now. Remember when you were a kid and we used to drink outside? Mrs. is gone, and that's what I'm gonna do. I still got about 4 beers left, about a 12 pack. So I still got around 4-ish left. I'm gonna drink those out on the patio. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the support. Cheers. Have a great Saturday night, and I will see you next time.